Some of the best conversations come when you're just sitting down, talking shop with your boys. That's why I brought Myles Clifford and Clayton Panzeri onto the show with me this week so we could talk a little bit about Boise State football, our trip to the Fiesta Bowl in 2014, and then kind of branch off from there. So please enjoy the full, uncut, raw discussion that we had today on the Game Time Guru. So,
what time is it? Game time! Woo!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Time Guru. I'm your host, Shane Larson, coming at you today with two special guests. We got Clayton Panzeri from the Armchair Army podcast, as well as Myles, who you guys all know, from 60 Days to Living. So I want to first let you guys know you got to find me on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, anywhere else, any podcast platform that you can think of, YouTube, Facebook, find me there, Instagram, Twitter, you know the good. So first, since you guys already know Myles, we'll briefly touch over Myles's what? Since you guys already know Myles, I can't talk about it?
Yeah, you can. No.
Okay, we're going to talk to Myles. I want you to give us a quick update on 60 Days to Living, where you're at with that, and what you've learned.
Day 53, what I've learned is momentum is key. Once you get rolling, don't stop, because if you stop, the hardest part is starting, and once you start, just keep going. If you stop, it's going to be a lot harder to get going again, because that's the way life is. So keep going, don't stop.
I like it. So Myles and I had a good discussion last week on fantasy football. You guys probably listened to that. So we had a good discussion on fantasy football. So check out episode 30. This is going to be episode 31, but episode 30, Myles killed it. Now, Clayton, let's talk about the Armchair Army podcast. What is it, and what got you started into podcasting?
All right, so the Armchair Army, I drew a lot of inspiration from Barstool Sports. I listened to a lot of their podcasts. They probably have 15, 16 out there. They do every sport. The starting 9, they do Facebook Live. And my favorite is Pardon My Take with Big Cat and PFT. They're so funny. But they basically just sit around, talk sports. Everybody loves them. And it's really funny to hear everybody's take on different things. So I think fans' opinions are often overlooked. So I wanted my podcast to be more of a fan experience podcast.
Sweet deal. And you just published the first episode this last week. Tell us where we can find you and what it's all about.
Yeah, I just published my first one on iTunes, Google Play. I actually have a site as well. So you can find me on the Armchair Army on iTunes and Google Play.
Solid. He's got some good stuff there. That's why I'm happy to have them both with me today. We're all Boise State alum. Is that right? Alum or alumni?
Yeah. Oh.
I think it's alum. Alum sounds cooler.
Alum, okay. Each one of us has graduated from Boise State University. So in a previous episode, Myles joined me and we talked about a devastating loss that we had against Nevada back in 2010. Today we want to talk about something a little bit more exciting, and we kind of want to just reminisce because we all happened to be at the Fiesta Bowl, the latest Fiesta Bowl, when we took on Arizona back in 2014. And I just wanted to talk about the entire experience from the drive there to the game and to the drive back. The drive was quite a long one, was it not, Clayton?
Oh, it was awful. I didn't realize how long it was until we started, and it was terrible. And I drove the whole way.
You did?
No, yeah, I drove the whole way.
I think our driver drove the whole way there, too, and almost where did we switch? At Love's gas station?
On the way back.
Yeah, so he drove majority of the way back.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, it was nuts. So when we headed down, I remember right outside of Boise, there was a blizzard, and we couldn't even see the lines in the middle of the road, and because we left at 4 in the morning? I can't remember what it was, but we couldn't see the lines in the road, and all we could see were the little posts every couple hundred yards. We were driving so slow, and then it took forever because we stopped at Jackpot and gambled for a couple hours, stopped in Vegas, did the exact same thing, and man, just the longest ride. And then Pat, if you're listening to this podcast, you're the worst one to drive with because you forget that there's other people in the back seat, and he with Pat, he's our buddy Clayton, he'd sprawl out in the back seat, and so we're pushed up against the window, and he's just it's not too bad. It's go to heck, man. Seriously, we're pushed up against the window. Turd.
3 dudes in the back, and he's chilling.
Yeah. And it's not just 3 dudes in the back. It's myself. I'm 6'2". Pat is also 6'2", 6'3".
I'm 6'4".
Yes.
Mine is 8.
That's good math. That's actually right.
It was. Okay, so it was that drive was ridiculous for us mainly because of Pat. We're in a Saturn VU. Is that how you say the name? Yeah, Saturn VU. Logan's wife's car, and Pat made sure we had a fun, snuggly trip in the back seat. That was pretty brutal. Just going there. You said you drove the whole time. How many people went with you?
We went with 4, so it was me, my girlfriend, my little brother, and then one of our friends. So I drove the whole way. We actually stopped in Salt Lake, took like a quick nap. We had a friend there. We took like a quick 2-3 hour nap. Then we continued on. We went to Las Vegas. Of course, we had In-N-Out. That was like the first In-N-Out stop, which is dope. We didn't gamble because my little brother at the time was like 16, so huge bummer. We should have dropped him off way earlier than that.
Leave him in the van.
Yeah, leave him in the van, gamble for a few hours, never come back. But
we've done that.
Yeah.
Straight up.
You guys have done that?
Yeah, with Tucker and his brother. So I went with my buddy Tucker Bakken and his brother. His little brother Trey was like 12 at the time. I don't remember, but we straight up left him in the van. He slept there for like 6 hours. And because our hotel, we didn't have one that night. Thanks a lot, Tucker. And we just left him in the van.
That's an experience.
That was that was the UNLV game, right? Back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so the drive there was really bad. Like Myles was saying, I went with Myles and we drove for 20. It was like 21 total hours, I think it was. We get there. There was a lot that went along with it too. We were just so beat when we got there, and we stayed with your uncle, and we all had I slept on the air mattress in the living room. Everybody was like going in different places. Logan
Except
called
me,
dibs.
I had a super comfy
Yeah,
bed.
you decided to get the bed, and Logan called dibs on the other bed, so he got to sleep there. Luckily, we got to stay with your uncle, though. Thing is, we only got like 7 hours of sleep.
Which is a lot.
Well,
7 hours.
Okay, after a 21-hour drive. Okay, I understand 7 hours is a lot. I'm aware of that now that I'm a parent. But the thing is, 7 hours of sleep, then we had to go right back into the game. We didn't really get time to do anything once we got there. We got there late at night, went to sleep, got ready for the game because the game was early. What time was the game?
Yeah, it was early. It was like noon, 1 o'clock.
Something like that.
It was not late. Yeah, when the game got done, it was only like 5. I mean, it was.
That's right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. You still had the whole night, and it was a New Year's Day game. It was the day before New Year's, so New Year's was that night. So we did nothing for New Year. Did you guys do anything for New Year's that day?
We drove in a blizzard.
Home.
Oh yeah, bringing in the new year, huh?
Yeah.
Barely alive.
Remember when we stopped in Vegas and we went to the bathroom, all of us, and then there was that toilet just
full of puke?
It was full of
Oh no, it was
vomit.
Yeah, that's
it was so disgusting. It was
Nobody wanted to flush the toilet.
Nobody wanted to go in because it wasn't just in the toilet; it was all over. And I saw that you could peek. Like someone opened the door. I think it was Tucker opened the door. It was like gagged. It looked like someone barfed worms, like green worms. It was so disgusting.
Dude, that looks like that sounds like an MTV prank where
disgusting.
They just video everybody who walks in and everybody who walks in pukes and then they just play it on fast forward.
It was disgusting. It was New Year, so everybody was drunk then.
Everybody was though. Like in Vegas, I remember that because there's people that had to get escorted out by the security officers at the
security didn't work that night. I bet. Yeah. Well, they earned their paycheck.
Totally.
Going back to the game itself. So we drive all the way down there. It was like a brutal drive. 21 hours. Like when I say this to people, I tell people about the experience of driving. They don't realize that was a very long day. Okay, like when I say, it was only 21 hours. No, it was a very long day. We get there, we sleep, go to the game. It was an emotional game. Where did you guys sit?
Dude, we didn't sit with the Boise State because we decided to go last minute. So we got the cheapest tickets we could. We were in the nosebleeds. But luckily our section was Boise State. It was mainly Boise State, which was super awesome. If you weren't at the game, 90% of the fans were Boise State fans in Arizona's home state, which was embarrassing for the Wildcats.
Totally.
But we were in Boise State only, third deck, but it was awesome. I still remember it to this day.
Ask us where we were at.
Yeah, you guys were front row, right?
We were.
Let's talk about that. Who was front row technically?
Who?
Logan.
Oh yeah.
Row 1, seat 1.
Yeah, Logan and Pat.
Oh really?
Those two idiots.
Well, technically Pat didn't have row 1, seat 1. Logan got row 1, seat 1. Somehow Pat was a little further off, and me and you were in the back. But we ended up all going to the front
that's right.
later on. But so our buddy Logan
doesn't even care about football. Hope you're listening, Logan.
But no, it's just funny because at the time, Pat was a student at Boise State, Myles was a student at Boise State, and I was a student at Boise State. I was going. Actually, no, I was not yet. I wasn't at Boise State yet. So you two were the two students, and we got the guest passes with each one of those.
Yep.
And Logan, who's not even a student at Boise State though, gets row 1, seat 1, right in the end zone. So we were frustrated about that. But it was really cool because that same trip we talked to your uncle.
We were like row 16.
Yeah, we were a little ways back.
That was garbage, but then we were in row 1 the whole game.
I followed you at halftime because that's when it was. Up to the front row because you decided to sneak up there. Patton ended up going up there to talk to Logan. I decided to follow suit later. So got behind the security guard, sat up in the front row, and we never got told to sit down. Remember the guy that was sitting, the security guard, he was counting. He's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, and he knew that wasn't as many seats that were left there, and he's like, huh, and you're like, I'll buy you a beer, just shut up, and he's like, okay, but he was joking. But anyways, he let us stay there. It was really cool. So we got to be in the end zone right where everything happened. Like, it was the end zone. I still have a video of it on Facebook, like right where they had like the goal line stand at the end of the game. So that was really cool. So it was an emotional game. I just remember that just being a really emotional, like at least an emotional ending. So not only was I deprived on like sleep and just a long travel, had an emotional game, and then it was snowing in Arizona. Talk about the snow in Arizona. What did you hear from the people in Arizona?
Yeah, so we stayed with... So we had some friends that moved from Washington to Arizona, so we stayed with them in Phoenix. And it was the first time that it snowed in Phoenix in like 15 years. Like, one of the people were like, yeah, I was raised here and I've never seen snow. Yeah. Like, I don't know what it looks like. It snowed that day, of course, the day we were there. Like, you guys were there one day, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
we were there one day. We were there we were actually there 2 days technically. We got there very late the previous day, and then we left the next day after the game. But yeah, it snowed for the first time in like 15 years.
The weather sucked, dude. Do you remember the first time we went to Arizona for the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma? What was the weather like then?
It was like 72 degrees.
It's amazing.
Perfect. We had I remember our rental car was a red Ford Mustang convertible, and we had the top down. And
you guys lived it.
We did, and then this next one, Saturn View coats that none of us had because
little foreshadowing on Boise State's now program, right?
Exactly.
So, like, that was the winter that came upon Boise State. Like,
absolutely.
This is the beginning of the end.
Seriously, for sure. And Arizona, except their quarterback looks pretty good.
Yeah, Anu Solomon though, where is he playing? He's playing at Baylor. I saw him at Baylor.
Really?
Yeah, Anu Solomon is at Baylor now, and by the way, lost his starting role at Baylor.
I was wondering about him last week because I was watching Arizona play, and I was like, what happened to Solomon? Because he was only like a freshman or a sophomore when he played.
Like
True freshman.
Yeah.
True freshman.
And I thought he was good. I actually thought he was decent. He made some dumb decisions.
He hated him and Rich Rod had like a falling out. I saw that him and Rich Rod like hated each other. So he went to community college for 1 year, then on to Baylor for an opportunity to start. Lost his starting role as a grad transfer at Baylor.
Who's 0-6 right now.
Yeah.
The best 0-6 team.
Wow.
Who do you think
who beat Boise State last year in the bowl game?
Crushed Boise State.
Oh, not close.
Question. This one's actually really hard. Who wins? Baylor, BYU?
Baylor.
Baylor
gets their first win.
I think BYU is that bad.
I think BYU's terrible. We talked about this on a podcast earlier, but BYU, if you're a BYU fan, congratulations.
A one-legged Tanner Magnum's better than the rest of the team, which is garbage. Like that's the worst team. That's embarrassing. Honestly,
your team sucks.
They're really.
I
don't care what you say.
And
about
do they
them.
have any do they have any future prospect? I mean, like they're going to be bad for a while, right?
At least 2 years.
Seriously.
Their personnel is not good. It's bad. They have terrible receivers. They can't. Yeah, they're awful.
Their defense is bad. Like, I didn't see one when Boise State played BYU. I didn't see one like, oh wow, that kid's going to be really good in the future. Like a true freshman getting experience.
Yeah, like what was his name last year? Jamal Williams or whatever was his name?
Yeah, he's playing for Green Bay now.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Yeah,
he was a stud, but like, there's nothing like that. Like BYU is like, what happened? They're the worst team.
Who cares? Screw BYU.
Why would
I hate BYU. Baylor wins that hands down. Like you said, by 35.
I can't believe they took up 3 minutes of this podcast.
It took up a minute and a half.
Are we going to cut this?
Yeah, we should cut it.
We should cut it. You guys won't even know what we're talking about. So, back to the game time guru. I'm just kidding.
BYU.
So, we're in Arizona. We're playing them. Terrible weather. And to speak on that, we talked about how like the Oklahoma game back in 06-07, that 06-07 season, that was nice weather. I just went back to Arizona last year for the Clemson-Ohio State game. Great weather, and then it happened to be the worst weather when we went for the Arizona game 3 years ago. It's crazy how it all happened. So Myles kind of touched base on this earlier. For us, our group that went in the Saturn View, like we went to the game on 7 hours of sleep after 21 hours of driving. And then what did we decide to do? Like, he kind of told you guys already, but like explain to it. We went and grabbed something to eat, and then we kind of decided what?
To go home.
To go home. So we drove 21 hours, 7 hours of sleep, and we decided we were just going to flip it back and go home. Like Clayton said, it was already snowing. Do you remember this ride home? What was the ride home like?
The worst.
At least the stretch from Phoenix to like Glendale to Las Vegas. What was that like specifically?
So how about Glendale till Boise was the worst ride ever. Like we mentioned, Pat sprawled out in the back.
Oh, we're going to talk about Pat's final stretch from Twin Falls. I've got to get to that here in a minute.
Man, I'm sorry, buddy.
Pat, we're roasting you.
Pat's a doctor, so we can't really make fun of him. But, so we're driving back. All these cars are passing us, and we're probably going to sound like terrible people, but they're passing us, cruising in this blizzard. We're like, if we see them in a couple minutes, like off the road, do we help them? And we decided, like, no. So we literally... A lot of those people were off the road, and like we didn't stop because Shane and I had an experience like that a couple years ago where we saw a wreck, we stopped, and the firefighter said, "Don't stop! Like, get the heck out of here! You shouldn't be stopped! Like, go! You guys are gonna die!" So we were just like, you know what? We're not stopping. Unfortunately, like a guy got pinned in between two cars because he got to help someone, got pinned, broke his back, he's paralyzed or whatever. But like, it was insane because cars were sliding off the road everywhere, and we drove 30 miles an hour for. Freaking felt like forever, but we drove like that for 10 hours, and then the drive from Vegas on the way home was terrible. Pat almost killed us pulling out in front of a semi or whatever it was. And
it was a very stressful moment. Like that whole stretch to Vegas, it was like 30 miles an hour in the snow. Miles said we see cars that slid off. We decided to keep going. It was kind of
I wanted to stop, just so everybody knows.
Right. Miles is such a good friend. I'm so grateful that I have such a good influence in my life. I'm going to say that every podcast you're with me on. So we're seeing all them. Everyone's kind of like nervous. Like we have that nerve. I was single at the time because at the time I went through a divorce. So everybody was married.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in the back.
You're gambling with house money at that point.
Everybody's calling their wives, like saying, "Hey, just the situation, just so you guys know." Da, da, da. I'm sitting back there like I gotta call my mom and dad, let them know because that's who I was going home to. Is my mom and dad.
Talk to Cyrus and
Cyrus and Alba.
Yeah, that's his dog.
Those are my black labs. Those are my homies. So yeah, like I didn't have. It was just kind of a weird trip, and then we get to Vegas. We decided to go gamble a little bit more. Poor Tucker. Lost a blackjack hand that was pretty brutal. And then we decided to make the trip home. Poor Logan. There's a picture of my buddy Logan. He looked like death. He was so exhausted, worn out from everything, the drive, everything. He looked so sick.
The fedora he was wearing?
That was possible. That could have been it.
That's just karma at that point.
Yeah, seriously. He deserved that.
That's fedora karma.
Yeah. If you wear a fedora out there and you're a listener, congrats.
Take it off. Like...
You're going to cut half this podcast. We're sorry.
No, I'm... Okay, so Clayton, tell me this. Going on road trips like that, do you guys stop to eat quite a bit? How's your diet when you go on a road trip like that, where it's a long drive?
Well, I don't step on the scale for like 3 weeks after.
Smart.
That's the
because
same
that I like self-esteem is definitely not my forte up there. But yeah, I mean, you have to stop. Like I try to stop as minimal as possible, but it never happens.
Yeah,
right?
but you got to load up. You load up with Sour Patch Kids, licorice,
right? Yeah,
sunflower seeds, chips, soda.
You literally are a diabetic by the time at the end of the.
Yeah, that's just from Boise to Mountain Home. That's what Logan told me.
Yeah.
Like my Sour Patch Kids, Swedish Fish, my cookies, and a drink. That's from Boise to Mountain Home.
Boise to Mountain Home.
Dude,
starting off strong.
So that's how my diet is on the long trips. We were on that long trip
that's
for
how
one.
My diet is
yeah. What are you talking? That's a Monday.
Yeah.
So and the long drives, anyways, they mess up my stomach regardless. So it was like 40 hours of driving, messed up with all the food. I get home. And it's the Alabama-Ohio State game of the college football playoff, right? So we got home earlier in that afternoon. I wanted to watch that game.
Which I thought Ohio State had no chance.
So let's talk about that real quick. I want to bring that up real quick. Myles
time.
was really mean to me in Phoenix because he was mad that Ohio State made it over TCU that year, which I actually understand because TCU had a shot that year. Granted, they didn't have a Big 12 championship. There was a big fiasco with that whole thing the first year of the college football playoff and the Big 12. Myles, he says, Alabama's going to win 42-0. You're like, no, 49-0. Guaranteed. And he wasn't just joking. He was mad at me because we were arguing in the car because he doesn't like Ohio State and I love Ohio State. So he was getting mad. He says 49-0. And I remember watching the game. So I'll just say that we get home, whatever. I felt sick. I ended up crapping my pants. Let's just say I'm just going to tell you guys that right now. I ended up crapping my pants on the couch.
That out of your podcast.
No, I'm going to let people know. It was
great. I know that's like sincere and you're supposed to be like open with people, but like
they're going to know.
Yeah, I feel like I crapped my pants when Cardale Jones started and still won the national championship.
No, but like you figuratively crapped your pants. I think Shane literally.
No, I did. I was sick. No, it's part of the podcast. So listen, you texted us later in the game. You texted a mass text. Do you remember what your text said?
Shane crapped his pants?
No, it was yummy crow. That's what you wrote back. You just sent a mass text out to all our friends because you said they were going to lose.
I ate crow. Yeah, well, unfortunately, like, what's good for me is I'm right 98% of the time, and that was one of the 2% where I was wrong.
You're right. You're a great friend. I'm so grateful to have such a good influence around.
He says I'm right. Like, it's... I don't know if anybody out... You guys probably don't care, but, like, to be right...
I'll text you my, like, Bovada login stuff. Though.
Yeah, well, I'm a millionaire because I just super humble and don't have lots of stuff. But it's unfortunate because, like, Logan and Tucker, if you guys are listening... We were talking about the Kentucky-South Carolina. I texted and said, South Carolina's garbage. Kentucky's going to freaking mob.
You're hung up on this game.
Yeah, because you guys all texted me and said I was an idiot. And, like...
Did I text back?
Yeah, you did.
What did I say?
You said, I actually think South Carolina's actually pretty good. They got a good receiving core. And I can't remember what... Do you
did I say they were going to win?
Yeah, you said...
You guys were arguing about South Carolina, Kentucky?
Yeah.
You guys were in the depths of things there.
Jeez.
I don't know.
Let me tell you what happens. They run out of stuff because it's like Myles is right all the way from the top down to the depth, like you said. And then once we get to the depth, that's the only thing they can argue about. And then
so what's like the Arkansas Vanderbilt score next week? Jeez.
Literally, he honestly thought Vanderbilt was going to win today, and I had to tell him Vanderbilt.
I did not say that. That's not even true at all. He's lying.
Who is Vanderbilt playing today?
Ole Miss. And Shane said Ole Miss is literally going to get mopped up by Vanderbilt.
That never happened.
Go Commodores.
So what you guys also know is Myles lies 98% of the time, and the 2% of the time he tells the truth. This is part of that 98% of the time he's lying.
I'm right and telling the truth. I don't understand. Like, dude, this is going to turn into a fight on your podcast.
Did we all just become Commodores fans, though?
Yeah, well, Shane did, but I said, no way, Ole Miss is going to win.
I can't believe this is
happening.
happening.
I think he said...
Football guy, man.
Go Broncos, Boise State.
No, time out. I want to throw another one in there.
No.
Well, okay, let's prove this right now, once and for all. Who's right all the time? Prediction for the Boise State game hasn't even started yet. We got
First Aztecs. What is it? Oh, the over-under is 7. What are you guys taking?
Boise State loses by 11.
So you're taking... Okay, yeah.
What do you think?
I think they will cover the points. 7 points. I think they'll keep it within 7.
Gosh, well, you shouldn't ask me about Boise State because they...
Dude, how
much do they lose by? Wait, Shane.
You said 11. He said 11.
They lose by 11? And they lose by what, 7?
No, 4. 5. 4.
Oh, gosh.
4, 6 points. They cover the 7.
If I was Mulan, I'd be true to my heart.
If I was true to my heart, I'd root. I'm rooting for Boise State, but it's going to be a bloodbath. Rashad Penny is going to...
You reckon?
Oh, dude.
You know
I don't think Rashad Penny is going to have under 100 yards.
Truthfully, my gut tells me we lose by 24.
So by the time this episode launches,
you know the over-under right now.
What happened?
You know the over-under is 5 right now, right?
Like the spread?
The spread is 5.
Someone knows Boise State's coming out after him. They're not loving San Diego State, but you know what?
But I think they're right. Vegas is always right. That's the problem.
Dude, that's why I had hope today because it was 7.5. The line was 7.5 when it started. It moved all the way to 5, which is huge for Vegas.
But was Vegas right about Clemson Syracuse last night? I was.
23 points.
I texted Shane and told Shane that.
What is this lie?
Yeah. I won $35 last night.
I can't defend myself because Clayton doesn't know.
Legitimately, though, I took the points on Syracuse last
Shane
night.
texted me last night and said Clemson won by 42, and I said I think Syracuse got it tonight. They have one of the best up and coming coaches. Their quarterback's amazing. And Shane said, "Myles, you're an idiot," and look what happened last night.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Game Time Guru. Hopefully,
I'm a liar, guys.
Myles likes to lie because Clayton's not quite
Boise
used to
State
our.
wins by 7 tonight.
Okay, legit though.
Okay.
I won money last night at Syracuse. I took the points, 23 points.
And
At home dogs, bet on them all the time.
Away dogs, Boise State. Away dogs, bet on them. Boise State tonight by 7.
Ooh,
And I'm
Bold
I'm the
prediction.
pessimist. Boise State loses by 11. I'll stick with it. Okay, to society. All right, well, there's Myles from 60 Days to Live. Go check out his podcast and his blog. He's got like 45
Shameless
days
plug.
left. Clayton's got the Armchair Army. Check it out. He's got his podcast just launched, so make sure you check it out. It's really good stuff, and hopefully you guys will keep listening to me. Subscribe, leave me a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever you want to find me. Find me there. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you next week.
Can't believe you crapped your pants.